Okay, good evening, everyone. So today we will start another service called a cloud front. So coming to this cloud front, the cloud front is a web service which can be used to improve the content delivery of your websites. CloudFront is a web service which can be used to improve the content delivery of your websites. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of like improving the speed of the content of the websites? Okay, so before getting into the cloud front, like what exactly it is and how it works, let us discuss about a simple scenario. Let us say you have a website, you are hosting a website. So this is, let us say this is a website. So on this server, a website is running, and this is located somewhere in US. Okay. If any user from the US is trying to access the website might be loaded within like 2 milliseconds or something. If the same website is accessed somewhere from India, it might take like a more time. Even if both the users are using the same speed of internet connection, same kind of a laptop, everything is similar. Even in that case also, the user who is trying to access from India, he will be able to load the website with some delay. Do you know what is the reason? Have you heard about a term called a latency? What is a latency? What is a latency? So this user, he will use his laptop or desktop and he will type the website address in the browser. Whenever he clicks enter, a request will be sent to the website. This is a request. And the web server will send a response. Response is nothing but the home page. The time takes to send a request and to receive a response is called as latency. Whenever the user is located far away from your server, obviously the latency will be high and the website loading time will be high. So the user has to wait some more time to get the web page to be loaded on the browser. So to avoid this kind of a situations and to improve the website loading time, Amazon is providing you a service called CloudFront. Amazon is providing you a service called CloudFront. But this CloudFront is unable to reduce the distance between you and the website, and it cannot increase your internet speed. But how the performance of the website can be improved? What might be the reason or what is the concept behind the CloudFront which can improve the performance of your website loading? Definitely, we know that there is no, what we call that, there is no change in the distance between the user and the website, and there is no improvement in your internet connection speed because Amazon doesn't involve in your internet connection speed. Okay, so keeping this aside, if something going to happen, definitely the loading time will be reduced. What has to be done? If you do something, definitely the internet speed or the web page loading time will be improved. So what we have to do? Any guess? Obviously, we know that if the web page is available closest to the user, then only the latency will be reduced and the website loading time will be improved. How can we make the website is closest to the user? Do you know a browser's cache? Do you know every browser will have a browser cache? What is that browser cache? what that browser cache will do? Not only the last data, let us say if I open a browser and if I access some website, the web page will be stored in the browser's cache for a temporary time, like 1 day or 1 hour, or until we close and open the browser, right? So what is the advantage of that is, while the web page is available in the browser's cache, during the time, if you try to access the same web page again, the web page will be loaded from your browser. The web page will not be loaded from the server actually. So obviously the time will take like very less time and the web page will be loaded quickly. So in the same way, if there is a concept or if there is an option to make that website available in each and every region as a cache, then automatically the users are able to get the web page to be loaded quickly, right? That's what exactly the CloudFront will do. So here across the globe, we have like 400 plus edge locations available. Edge location is a part of a content delivery network. Edge locations are the caching points across the globe. Let us say across the user, there is one edge location. And across the globe, there are n number of edge locations available. I think 410 plus edge locations available across the globe. I will show you the list. In India itself, we have a lot of edge locations. I think in Hyderabad, surrounding Hyderabad, we have 3 or 4. In Kolkata 2, Mumbai, I think 7 or something. They will maintain the copy of that particular data across all the edge locations. So here, there is a website running like abc.com. So what I do is, whenever you configure the CloudFront, it will generate a separate URL to access the website. So initially what we have to do is, here we don't use the abc.com. Here there will be some IP address or something will be there, right? We will point this to here, and this CloudFront URL, something will be there. And we will replace this with your own URL, abc.com. Whenever the user try to access the website, the request will go to the nearest edge location. Actually, the website is located in Northern Virginia. So for the first time, whenever the user is trying to access the website, in this edge location, by default, there will be no data available. For the first user, in the edge, the request will go to the edge location, and in the edge location, there is no copy of your website. Then the request will go to the actual web server. From there, the content will be delivered, downloaded. And from here, the user will get access to the website. For the very first user, there is not that much improvement in the website loading time. But whenever another user is trying to access the same website, if we connect to the edge location, already the copy is available here, right? This user is able to get the web page from the nearest edge location. So automatically, instead of 10 seconds or so, the user might be able to get the data in 3 milliseconds or 2 milliseconds in that way. So it seems everything is good. But now the question is, there is how quickly the data will be updated. There is a concept called TTL, time to live. What is the meaning of the time to live is, let us say if the time to live by default is 24 hours. Every 24 hours, whatever the data is cached at the nearest edge location, that will be expired. Let us say today 6 a.m. the data got downloaded, and tomorrow 6 a.m. the data will be cleared. After 6 a.m., whenever a user try to access, again a fresh copy of the web page will be downloaded. That's how they will maintain what we call the data consistency for all the users across all the regions. Do you find any challenge in this? Let us say at 10 a.m. I updated the website. At 10 a.m., let us say at every morning 6 a.m. the data will be refreshed at all the edge locations. But at 10 a.m. I modified some data in the web page. Like I have modified some data, or I created some kind of advertisement or whatever it is. Does these users are able to see those changes? No, because it will refresh for every 24 hours by default. So you have to wait for the 24 hours, like next day 6 a.m. During these many hours, till tomorrow morning 6 a.m., these users are able to see the outdated data. They can't see the correct data, right? In this case, what we can do is we can manually reset the data. We can call that as invalidation. Manually, we can update the content across all the edge location. That is called as invalidation. What is the meaning of invalidation? We are marking it as incorrect data. So whenever you invalidate any object or any file, that will be automatically deleted from the edge location. Whenever the next user try to access the same object, as it is not available in the edge location, the data will be freshly downloaded from the actual website. You guys might say that, again, whenever it is downloading, again, the data has to be downloaded from the web server, right? Again, it might take 10 milliseconds. That might be the question. But across the globe, Amazon's network is connected with high-speed optical cable network. So it will not take that much time. Between the regions, availability zones, edge locations, the data can be copied with very minimum latency, and hence you don't get 10 millisecond latency. Instead of 2 millisecond or 3 millisecond, for the first user, that might be 4 or 5 millisecond, but which is good when comparatively with the without CloudFront, right? That's why nowadays every website is using such kind of a mechanism. On Amazon, that is available as a CloudFront, but if you go for different cloud providers or different providers, they might provide the same service with a different name. The basic idea of the CloudFront is to improve the data content delivery across the globe using the edge locations. Using the edge locations. If you see here, this is the map where you can see the edge locations across the globe. So in India, you can see there are 3 different colors available, right? Blue, some kind of purple, and orange. So meaning of those colors is, blue is a kind of an edge location. If it is showing purple color, there is a multiple edge locations in the same area. And the orange color is a regional edge cache, which is available in the region. Obviously, we have a Mumbai. So you can see that orange color in the Mumbai. And if you see the list of edge locations in India, India is in Asia, right? So in India, you can see at New Delhi, you can see 7 edge locations. At New Delhi, 7 edge locations. Within India, across the India, they will maintain different edge locations. And in Chennai, they are maintaining 7. Bangalore, 4. Hyderabad, 3. That doesn't mean that in a single place they are maintaining 3. All these 3 are spread across the Hyderabad. Even surroundings of Hyderabad also, they will mark it as a Hyderabad. And somewhere, one more. In Kolkata, there are 2. In Mumbai, we have a 10. There is a Mumbai in which we have a 10. So these are the edge locations only in India. Across the globe, they have almost like 410 plus edge locations across the globe. By using these edge locations, the data transfer speeds can be improved. Even if you observe in the S3, we have a transfer acceleration, right? Even whenever you use the transfer acceleration, the data can be transferred using the edge locations. Okay, so now what we do is, we don't have any websites and all the things. So now what I do is, whatever the data you can access as a website, that can be configured using the CloudFront. So what I do is, first I will create one S3 bucket, because already we are done with the S3. Okay. And I will create this in Northern Virginia. The reason is, if I create in Mumbai, you cannot get the advantage, or you cannot observe the data loading speeds. And into this, I will upload one image file, image.jpg. So it will have some kind of an object URL, right? Object URL, automatically looks like a website URL. So we can consider that as a website. So first what we do is, from India, we will try to access the object URL, a kind of a website, without a CloudFront. We can observe that the image will be loaded with some delay. If you upload 100 KB image, you cannot observe the change. I will recommend to upload at least like 5 MB file or 3 MB file, some MBs in size. If it is 100 KB, that will be loaded quickly. So without CloudFront, it will take some delay and you can observe the loading speed. The image will be loaded in bits and pieces. Then we will configure the CloudFront. We will configure the CloudFront. While configuring the CloudFront, we can consider the S3 as origin. What is the meaning of S3 as origin? First, what is the meaning of origin? Origin is like where exactly the website is located. Now I am using the S3 bucket as an origin for the content. Okay, so here I will select the S3 bucket, and I will select the URL also, like object URL I will give. So whenever here there will be some kind of CloudFront URL will be generated like this. This is the actual website URL to access this image. So whenever I access this URL for the first time, the image will be loaded with some delay. At that time, the object will be loaded to the nearest edge location. The copy will be loaded into the nearest edge location. So from the next moment onwards, whenever a user is trying to access from Hyderabad, they will be able to access the image or the website without much delay. You cannot observe that the image is getting loaded in bits and pieces. So this is how you can observe by using the CloudFront, the content delivery will be improved. And also, while we are configuring, there is a concept called TTL, which is 24 hours by default. So to check that, what I do is, so here there will be one image. I will upload a new image with the same name. But still, these users are able to see the old image, which is not available in the website. Because in the edge location, the old image is available. So for that reason, to manually refresh the data or update the data, we will create an invalidation. We will create invalidation. Invalidation of image.jpg. So across the globe, across all the edge locations, that image.jpg will be deleted. So that immediately the new image will be updated across all the edge locations whenever the user is trying to access the particular image or something. And this manual invalidation is available on extra charge. The regular refresh or regular TTL is free of cost. But if you do a manual invalidation, like manually updating the content across all the edge locations, that is available on some additional charges. On what basis they will charge you is based on number of paths. Let us say I would like to invalidate 3 objects. So I have to give the path of the 3 objects, right? So I will be charged for 3 times or 4 times based on the paths. Okay. So now what we do is we will try to do first thing as a CloudFront implementation. Then we will go with the invalidation. So we can say like by using the CloudFront, we can improve the performance of the websites. CloudFront will cache the content in edge locations across the globe, and the user is able to access the content from the nearest edge location. That is how the performance can be improved. So to check or to do the practicals for the CloudFront, we are going to use S3 bucket as an origin. And in this CloudFront also, we have two different concepts, with OAI and without OAI. CloudFront distribution can be configured in two ways. One is without OAI, and the second one is with OAI. OAI stands for Origin Access Identity. What is the meaning of that OAI is? Okay, so here we have an object, right? This object URL can be accessed directly, or the object can be accessed using the CloudFront also. If you configure the OAI, Origin Access Identity, nobody can access the object directly using the object URL. Every request has to come through the CloudFront URL only. Because if you don't configure using the OAI, if someone knows the object URL, they can directly access and they don't get the advantage of the CloudFront. That's why always we recommend to use OAI, Origin Access Identity. So OAI will enable the access of the objects through CloudFront URL only. Direct access to the S3 objects will be restricted. No user can access the object directly using the object URL if you enable OAI, Origin Access Identity. Sorry. One second, guys. Okay, so yeah, Origin Access Identity will restrict the direct access to all your S3 objects, which will only allow the user to access the objects using CloudFront URL only. So that we will observe practically. We will implement the CloudFront without OAI and with OAI, and we can observe how it works. So whenever you would like to access the object publicly or as a object URL, definitely the object should be public object, right? Okay. So first thing, we have to create S3 bucket, and let us use the name as CloudFront in Northern Virginia region. It is more important. If you are in India, don't create the bucket in Mumbai region. Just you can select the region which is far away from your location. Otherwise, you cannot observe what we call that the performance difference before CloudFront and after CloudFront. And as we are using this bucket to maintain some public objects, while creating, you have to enable ACL, and we have to disable block all public access. And then upload an image obviously some large file, not a small one. And I will use the name as image.jpg. Whatever the image you can download from the internet, just rename it to the image.jpg. Then access the image.jpg using the object URL and observe the loading time, like how much time it will take to load the image and all the things. Then create a CloudFront distribution without OAI, S3 as origin, and configure image.jpg as a default object. So whenever you use the website, which page to be loaded by default, that you have to mention, right? So you have to mention that whenever the CloudFront URL to be accessed or the website URL to be accessed, that image.jpg to be loaded. And then we'll observe the loading time by accessing the CloudFront URL. Then we will do the same thing with OAI. So here we'll do one thing, CloudFront URL and object URL also, so that we can observe the difference between those two. So here we will do with OAI. So we have to create that origin access identity. What is that origin access identity is? It will create one identity for your CloudFront distribution, and the S3 bucket will only allow the CloudFront distribution to communicate and access your objects. No other user or no other service can access. How it is possible? By using a bucket policy. And the bucket policy will be automatically created. We don't create it. Based on the options what we select, that origin access identity will create a bucket policy for the bucket, in which all the public access will be restricted and the connectivity will be open only through the CloudFront. And then access the CloudFront URL and object URL. At this stage, object URL cannot be loaded. You will get a message like access denied or some kind of error, because we configured with origin access identity, no direct access is not possible. Okay, so before going with the practical, are you guys clear on the concept or any questions? Okay, so first we will go with the without OAI, and then we can do with OAI also. Okay, so first we have to create one S3 bucket. Okay, so what is the first step? The first step is to create the S3 bucket, right? And while creating, we have to enable ACL. What is the reason for enabling the ACL? To make the image file as public. And for the same thing, we have to disable the block all public access also. So go to your Amazon account and navigate to S3 service. So let me click on create bucket. Let me create the bucket with the name, and in Northern Virginia region, I must enable ACL. Without enabling that, I cannot make that object as a public. Sorry, just select ACLs enabled. And here you have to uncheck this, select the checkbox and click on create bucket. And then we will upload one object, which is image.jpg. Let me get one image. You can download from the internet also, but always I recommend to use some big size image, not like small KB files. It seems I have a 2.5 MB file. Let me use that. Wait, it seems already I have image file. Okay, that's too small. Okay, just I am uploading one image file. This is the file image.jpg. You can download from the internet. You can go to Google and you can check HD images in the tools. So you can download the HD images, or you can go to something like Shutterstock or something also. You can download for free. Okay, so now let us upload this object. So this is the bucket. Let me click on that. Click on upload. Add files. Okay, this is the file. No, I selected the wrong one. Wait. Add files. Okay, I selected a file which is 2.4 MB. And while uploading, I have to make it as a public. So while uploading, to make it as a public, I will click on permissions and I will select grant public read access so that anybody can access the object. Click on upload. And now the object got uploaded. Now what I do is I will try to access the object using the object URL. This is the object URL. And if I do that, the object will be loaded with some delay, right? Because that has to be downloaded all the way from Northern Virginia to here. And even if you refresh also, it will take a lot of time to load. You might think like from the second time onwards, that image might be loaded quickly, but it won't, because we haven't configured the CloudFront yet. Now we are going to configure the CloudFront in order to improve the performance of the content delivery. So now let us write down the steps to create the CloudFront distribution. Enabling or configuring the CloudFront is nothing but creating a CloudFront distribution. So in your Amazon account, in the search box, you can type CloudFront. Search for CloudFront. You can see the service called CloudFront, which is a global content delivery network. Click on that. So it will take you to a page. Is it a free tier eligible or not? That's a free tier eligible. The limitation is you can, what we call that, you can transfer up to 1 terabyte of data. So I uploaded 1 MB or 2 MB file, right? So if I access 10 times, 20 MB data got transferred out. Like that, you can use up to 1 TB of data transfer without any additional charges. What happened? Wait a second. So you can see that 1 TB of data transfer is free. Like every time you access any object, that how much data is transferring, that will be calculated. And you can access up to 10 million times. The CloudFront URL per month, you can access 10 million times, and 2 million times the CloudFront can access it. But for our practice purpose, that is more than enough for practical purpose, right? Okay. So once you are into the service, click on create a CloudFront distribution. Create a CloudFront distribution. So what is the origin domain? Where is your domain name, or where is your website located? S3 bucket. S3 bucket, right? Okay. So here, click on this. Automatically, it will show you the S3 buckets. If you have any load balancer, that will show you. If you have a custom domain name, you can type the domain name like this. Even that also works. But in our case, S3 bucket is the origin. Which S3 bucket? This is the one. CloudFront 11 July 2022 s3.amazonaws.com. Select the bucket from the drop down. And don't change or don't enter anything under the origin path. What is this origin path is? In the S3 bucket, where we uploaded the image file, directly into the S3 bucket. If you have a separate folder, and in that folder, if you have an object, you have to give the folder name here. The S3 bucket. So leave this as a blank. And here also you can keep that name as is, which is automatically generated. And S3 bucket access, for now, just use it as a don't use OAI. If you don't use OAI, if you're not using the OAI, object can be accessed through the CloudFront or directly using the object URL also. And then scroll down. And go with all the options as it is. Don't change anything. And somewhere here, no, not this one. Just scroll down to the settings. You can leave every other option as a default. No need to change anything. Later, I will show you what is this caching policy. Once it's created, I will show you that. So scroll down to the settings, and you can decide the data to be cached at which edge locations. Would you like to use all the edge locations across the globe? Or would you like to use only North America and Europe? Or would you like to use these things? It depends on your user base. From which locations your users mostly will use the website, you can select that for better charges. If you would like to allow from anywhere, you can use best performance, so that your content will be cached at each and every edge location across the globe, by using which you will get the best performance for every user. And here, just scroll down. This is what the default root object. Whenever the user is trying to access the website, which page to be displayed or which object to be displayed. In our case, the object is image.jpg. If in your case that is abc.jpg, you have to mention that name. Whatever the name of the object is there, that name you have to mention here. And just scroll down. You can use some description here. I will use the description is without OAI. Without OAI. Click on create distribution. The distribution will be created. Wait. What happened? Verify account. Give me a second. I think already my Just give me a second. Let me cross check. But as of now, we are using this account only. Okay, give me a second. Let me retry and what exactly the problem is. Actually, we are using these accounts in so many days, and even I got the bill also, but it's saying like account is not verified. Okay, give me a second. Let me check. Did I got any email or something? Okay, give me a second. Let me log in with a different account. It seems I need to activate this account, or I mean, verify my account. I will check that later. Let me log in with a different account just for time being. Okay, so the same thing we will repeat on a different bucket. So I think we have to use a different bucket name. We cannot use with the same bucket name. So I will create quickly. Just give me a second. So all the steps, whatever we already done, I will quickly repeat that. At least we'll complete without OAI today, so that in the next session we can complete the with OAI. ACLs enable. Okay. Upload, add files, image, and let me make it as a public. And the same steps, whatever you have written as of now, the same steps I will repeat on the CloudFront also. Just while we are clicking on the create distribution, we got the error. Anyways, let me use the object URL. So obviously that will take a lot of time. Okay. So now let us go to the CloudFront. Create a CloudFront distribution. In the origin, you have to select the bucket name. So here I don't change anything. Directly I will scroll down to the settings. Sorry. Just go on. I think the cable is problematic. Okay. Just wait 5 minutes. Okay. So here, what all we have done, just we selected the bucket name here and we don't change anything. Just we will select don't use OAI here. And then we scroll down to the settings. Here I will select use all edge locations. And at the default root object, I will use the object name, image.jpg. Then here in the description, I will use without OAI. Click on create distribution and the distribution will be created. It will generate a distribution domain name. You can see there is a distribution domain name, right? This is the domain name which we have to use to access that particular object from now onwards. But initially it will not work. It will take some time. The reason is to deploy the CloudFront distribution across the globe, it will take some time. How to identify that is, if you go back to the distributions, you can see the last something is there, right? The last modification, something will be there. That is called as deploying. Still, it is in deploying stage. So it will not work right now. You have to wait for some time. So here you can see some date and timestamp here. Once it is done, then you can use this particular domain name to access that particular object using the CloudFront. For the first time, the image will take some time to load, but from the second time onwards, for every user, that image will be loaded quickly. It will take like 2 to 3 minutes of time for the configuration part. Just wait. Once it is done, we'll verify. And then we'll manually update the replace the image with a different image. But still the end users are able to access the same old object. They can't see the new data. They have to wait for TTL, which is a 24 hours. While it is getting created, I would like to show you a few options. Click on this particular distribution. And here you can see there is an option called behaviors, right? In these behaviors, what is the cache policy name? Manager caching optimized, right? What is this policy contains? That policy contains the TTL, time to live. Let me go to, click on these 3 lines. Let me go to the policies and name of the policy is manager caching optimized, right? Go to the policies and select caching optimized. And here, what is the default TTL? 86,400 seconds. If you convert that into the days, how many days you will get? That is the seconds, right? 86,400 seconds. If I divide it by 60, I will get minutes. Then if I divide it by 60, I will get 24 hours. That is the default one. If you would like to modify that, you cannot modify the existing ones. You have to create a new policy, like create caching policy. You can create your own name, whatever you need. That doesn't matter. So here you can change it. Here you can change with your own value, like 2000 seconds or 10,000 seconds, whatever it is. Then just you can scroll down and you can click on create, so that you can create a policy with your own TTL, time to live. Okay, let us go back and you can see it is not showing deploying. So it is already deployed. Now you can use this URL to access the object. Let me click on enter. But initially it will take some time, but comparatively with the object URL, that was kicked. So now if I refresh, you can load the object quickly. Just always you have to do Control F5. If you directly click on F5, the image will be loaded from your browser's cache. If you do a Control F5, then it will be downloaded from the server. In this case, the server is a CloudFront. Now I am pressing Control and F5, and you can see there is the image is not loading in the small bits and pieces, right? The entire image is getting loaded quickly. So this is how the performance will be improved using the CloudFront. Now what I do is I will replace the image with a different image. So now let me take some different size and different image. Let me go with this one. Okay, that's a very small one. Okay, whatever it is, that doesn't matter. Let me upload a new image this time. Right now the image is something else, right? Right now the image is this one. Now I am going to upload a different image into the S3 bucket. You have to upload with the same name, right? Then only the URL will try to load the same object. So go to the S3. Just we are updating the content of your website, a kind of updating the data, but still the end users are able to see the old data before the TTL. Upload, add files. Let me select the image.jpg. This time, this is the image. So you have to select as grant public read access. Upload. Object is getting uploaded. Okay, object got uploaded, right? If you use the same URL, you will get the same old object only. 1,000 times you can try to access, but all the times you will get the same old image only. Because till 24 hours, the object cannot be refreshed. The content will not be refreshed. So now how can we manually refresh the object? So for that, you have to go to the CloudFront. Go to CloudFront and click on distributions. Click on your distribution name. Here you can see there is one option called invalidations. Click on the invalidations. Click on create invalidation. So here you have to give the name as image.jpg. If you use a star, then all the objects cached in that particular edge location will be removed. If you would like to remove a specific object, you have to use like this, image.jpg, and it has to be started with slash image.jpg. This is one path. This is one path. If you would like to clear multiple things, if you do like this, this is called two paths. You will be charged for two different paths. Like for every path, if they are charging $1, in this case, you will be charged $2 because these are two different paths. Now you will be charged for one path. This execution is available on extra cost. This is not free tier eligible. So now click on create invalidation. Now this object will be removed from all the edge locations across the globe. Whenever the user is trying to access, they will start getting the new image. Now, image is getting invalidated. And what is the status here? In progress. Still, it is not clear. It will take some time, not much time, just few minutes, 1 to 2 minutes. Once the status is completed from all the edge locations, the old image.jpg got cleared. Whenever the users are trying to access that particular image, a fresh image will be downloaded from your S3 bucket. That is how you can manually refresh the data. Now, if I do the Control F5, you can see the new image. If you don't do a manual invalidation, the new data will not be updated or visible to the users till the TTL time got completed. By default, that is a 24 hours. Even now you can see if you do a Control F5, the image will be loaded quickly. Okay, if I try to access the object using the object URL, then if I try to use the object URL, then the image will be loaded with some delay. And if I use the CloudFront, that is not that much, that is not taking that much time. So just with a snap. That is the difference between the CloudFront and without CloudFront. And if you configure the CloudFront without OAI, then the object can be accessed using the CloudFront URL and using the object URL also. Now what we do is, let us try to do the same thing with OAI. If you are doing with OAI, no need to make that bucket to be public. No need to upload the object as a public also. So quickly what I do is, let me delete the existing distribution, which will not take much time. So I will disable, select the CloudFront distribution and disable, because I am going to use the same S3 bucket for that. I'm going to use the same S3 bucket for the with OAI also. So click on create distribution. Every option is the same. Select the bucket. Here just select yes, use OAI. Under S3 bucket access, select yes, use OAI. And the meaning is bucket can restrict access to only CloudFront. The objects cannot be accessed directly using the object URL. So now we have to create one identity for the CloudFront distribution. Click on create new OAI and click on create. And according to this OAI, your bucket requires a bucket policy to only allow the communication from the CloudFront distribution. So that policy, you have to select yes. So policy will be automatically created by Amazon and your bucket will be updated. No need to do anything manually. And apart from that, just scroll down to the settings. Scroll down to the settings. Use all edge locations. Under the default root object, use image.jpg. All other options are the same. The only difference is here you have to select OAI as a yes. OAI as a yes. Click on create new OAI and here select yes, update the bucket policy. And all other options are same as without OAI also. And here I will use the name called with OAI for identification purpose. Click on create distribution. And now it is getting deployed. And here, this is the one. You can see the URL is a different. For every distribution, the URL will be different. Now we have to use, this is with OAI. This is with OAI. And once you configure that OAI, if you go to your S3 bucket, we haven't configured any bucket policy on this, right? If you click there and if you go to the permissions, you can see there is a new policy got updated automatically. What it will do, it will allow get object means read permission on this particular bucket only from this particular identity. No other identity or no other person can access the objects from this S3 bucket. That is the meaning of this bucket policy. That we can observe by directly accessing the object URL. If I click here, I will get, wait. What happened? It should not be accessible. Just wait. Might be distribution is not yet done. Let it be done. Then we can observe that. If you access the object URL directly, it will not be accessible. Let me open the S3 bucket in a different tab because we have to get the object URL also, right? And one more thing, sometimes earlier used to access the object URL, right? The same URL is there. So sometimes from your browser's cache also, the object might be loaded. So clear your browser's cache or use Control F5 or use a different browser also. Still it is deploying. And also once you disable the previous one, just delete it, just to avoid unnecessary charges. Delete the distributions once you are done with your practice. Still it is deploying. Okay, let me paste the object URL here. So I will delete the object, or I will upload the same object without making it as a public. Okay, we updated that as a public, right? Public is not required. No need to upload the object as a public. Make it as a private. Where is that? This is the one. So I don't select that as a public. So the object will be a kind of a private object. Obviously the URL will not work, right? Obviously the URL will not work, but the CloudFront is able to access the object. Upload the object without making it as a public. So here, this is the one, right? And configure as default object. So here you can write down like image.jpg need not to be a public object. That is not required. Because using the bucket policy, we are providing the accessibility. And one more thing, this OAI might take some time to start working also. If it not works immediately, don't get worried. Just wait for a few minutes of time and you can start using it. Now I'm using the OAI URL. It is getting loaded, right? It is getting loaded. And if you use the object URL, that should not load. Object is not public, but still the CloudFront is able to access the object. So this is how you can restrict the users not to access the object directly without using the CloudFront distribution. This is only for the S3, but if you configure some load balancer or something, even in that case also, always it is recommended to do that, because nobody don't know about your object URL and load balancer URLs unless you publish it. But to be on safer side, it is recommended to configure OAI along with the CloudFront. Okay, so this is about the CloudFront, which can be used to improve the delivery of your content across the globe with minimum latency. Once you are done with the practical, just select the distribution, click on disable. Without disabling, you cannot delete it. First disable, and then you have to delete it. So once it got disabled, you can see it is deploying. If you disable the distribution, that has to be disabled across all the edge locations also. So which will take just a couple of minutes. Once it is disabled, you can get the delete option and you can delete it. Once you delete it, you cannot recover. Okay, right. So this is about the CloudFront distribution. Are you guys clear on this CloudFront or any questions? Okay. And one more thing is like tomorrow we don't have a session. we will take some break tomorrow. I have some work. So from Wednesday onwards, we'll continue the sessions. Okay. Tomorrow only we don't have a session. And one more thing is like, if you are going for a lab, lab will be open from like morning 7 to 11 and something they said like even like 4 to 6 or something. And earlier you used to go to Reliance building, right? Now it is a different building, Naker building or something is there. They shifted the lab to that particular location. If you need the address or something, just you can check with Rajesh. They can help you on that. Okay. Don't just go to the Reliance building. They are in that building. There is no lab for the AWS. Okay. That was shifted to a new building. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So if you guys are clear, you guys can leave and let us continue from Wednesday. Okay. Right. Thank you, everyone. We'll meet on Wednesday.